Hello, y'all. Welcome to the Joy Starters podcast. I am not in my normal studio. If you see behind me, you're probably like, what is that? That's a log house. That is a log cabin. Yes, I am at my mama's house. So I'm going to show you some things that remind me of my mom. If you're new to this podcast, my mom is in heaven. She's been there about 5 years. And I miss her every day and I love her and my mama's house and my stepdaddy, who's like my daddy. It's in Alabama. And I'm here this week to speak to, preach, to give my testimony, whatever you want to call it, to the Love Lady Center tonight, which is a Christian women's halfway house. I am recording another podcast tomorrow night. I'm speaking at a high school and I'm speaking at an anti-bullying event. So bullying event. So it is quite the week. And then I also get to be here in my mama's house amongst my mama's things. And it's wonderful. Like, I'm just going to show you some little things like drinking out of her cup. Like this. Yeah. Yeah. Also, I found this. My mom and I used to have a clothing store together. She had her own gallery and we had clothes in there. And as a matter of fact, this shirt / dress that says do what is right, not what is easy, was one of our dresses. And so I found that too. And just finding things, touching things, sitting on her back porch, cooking in her kitchen. Last night, I cooked my brother and my dad chicken thighs and risotto and green beans and a salad and just went all out for them and sourdough. So it was just great. Right. And I remember when I started, let me back up. I remember started in the grief journey. I was scared to come here. Scared it would have hurt too bad. In the moment that I came home, I recognized she's everywhere. And I'm sitting at her desk recording this podcast. So it's so sweet, y'all. And I recognized that I didn't have anything to fear, that like her energy was everywhere and it was beautiful and lovely and kind and comforting and all the things. And so, there you go, crying all your makeup off, Rachel. That's really good for the day. I don't edit out things here. I just keep it real. Get all this hair all caught in my necklaces out. So I wanted to show you some of the things at my mom's. I mean, look at this, y'all. This is like her office and my stepdaddy's office when they sold log homes. They were #1 in the country for many years in a row in log home sales. I'm surrounded by all their awards. Like, it's just amazing. And to get here, to come here and work at her desk, through tears of gratefulness. And that I was her daughter, that I am her daughter, and that my fate tells me that I'll see her again. And so more so than tears of sadness, they're tears of gratitude and joy, because with great love comes great grief. So I just want to tell you where I was, what I'm doing, and what is happening this week. And I have two things I want to talk about that are wholly unrelated, but I want to talk about them nonetheless. The first one is I have had, and let me preface this entire conversation with, I am no expert. The only thing I'm an expert at is screwing up, falling down, getting up, trying, learning, seeking, growing, and pushing. That's it. But I have somehow over the past few years become a beacon, a place where my friends come to me and people come to me that are in blended relationships, that are trying to, figure it out, where there are kids in a relationship that are not theirs. And it's happened to an NFL team where I ended up being friends with the person and just adoring her. Shout out to Alex. It has happened with people that serve and I'm changing the narrative, and people that are close to the movement. And again, I'm just nothing bad on their end. Just a disclaimer here, just being connected by somebody who loved them, or them having questions. And so I was talking to the latest of these group of people the other night and the other day, and I left her a long voice note, and I got really, really passionate about this. And I had to tell her, I'm like, and not to you, it's just passionate. And here's what I've learned in 7 years of being a bonus person, 3 years of being an official bonus parent, 7 years of loving my kids, okay, and my husband. And I'm going to tell you a hard truth. And maybe you send this to somebody who's in a blended family, who's dating somebody with a child, who has a child and is attempting to date again. There are people like Dr. Laura that think you should never date again, ever, if you have a child until that child is grown. I don't subscribe to that theory. I think it's like a little extreme, but I do think this. Okay. And let me just go ahead and jump right into it. Your child should always come first. And I may get crucified for that, and that is okay. But your child, mark my words, your child gets one childhood, and they need a parent, both parents, hopefully, their mom, their dad, whoever you're dating, or however you find this conversation, wherever, if you just know a friend who's dating somebody who has a child, or if it's you or whoever it is. So let's just walk through this. As hard as it has been for me, because I did not have children, I had a dog, and I walked into and married a man with 4 children. Okay. And as hard as it's been for me, I've learned this lesson that your children, his children, my bonus children, I don't really like the term step, so I just prefer bonus. They call me step, but I'll call myself bonus. The children should always come first. And there have been situations and times where trips got canceled and things happened and whatnot because plans changed. And what? Was I irritated in the moment? Sure. Was I disappointed in the moment? Sure. But underneath all of that, was there a knowing, a like deep knowing in my soul that his children should come first? Absolutely. So I have zero respect for people who will alienate their children from them, who will have the parent move to another state, who will get in the middle of the children and the parent. I don't have respect for you. And I'm not mad at you. I'm calling you to better. Maybe you didn't see better, but what you are doing is setting up that child. You are messing them up, buddy. If you are standing in the way of their father or their mother being in their life, and you are playing a part in that. And I am begging you to do some soul searching, to get into therapy seriously, right? Because that child has one childhood, and they need their parent. Now, is their dad at my bonus kids, their dad and myself, are we married? Yes. Are we a unit? Yes, we absolutely are. But if there is ever a moment where he can get one-on-one time with his child, and I have something else to do or something else I could do, you know what I do now? I step out of the way. I step out of the way. I know with 4 children, my husband having 4 children, that one-on-one time is so precious and so valuable that I don't ever want to stand in the way. And in fact, I'm an encourager of him taking that time with his children. No, go be with them. No, go to that, do that. And because of that, from the outside world, a lot of people look at our life and they're like, God, y'all are crazy. You're both working full time. You have businesses, you're running, you're traveling, you have 4 kids. Yes, it is. Because we choose to do that. And why it came up was this weekend, we went to a family wedding, and I talked about this in my newsletter this week. It was tough. We had committed to my friend Melanie to her wedding. She was the first groundbreaking female to call a Major League Baseball game. Melanie Newman, look her up. We were invited to her wedding, but then we had a family wedding come up, and we chose to be at our family wedding so we could see my family. And so the wedding was 6 hours away, but my son was playing in a football game on Friday night. And so here's where this kind of whole thing came up, y'all, is there ain't a time, a place, anywhere in the universe, in this growth that I've had, where I would ever ask my husband to miss his son's game, nor would he. So there's another little nugget there for y'all. And the nugget is, if you're that parent, you got to stand up and have a backbone and say to that significant other, hey, no, my kid games, no, this is a boundary. I got to be there. Because we all have seen these videos of kids where they're looking up in the stadium and looking up in the stands, and they're sad and they're dejected, and they see somebody there for them and their face lights up. So he had a game, and it was the playoffs, and he had a game. So we didn't know. We said yes to the wedding, if we were going to be able to go up together on Friday night or do any of those things. And so I went ahead and drove up Friday night to get there. And then he met me on Saturday, and my amazing husband, y'all, my amazing husband drove 6 hours on Saturday and 6.5 hours home on Sunday just to be at a family wedding because, 1, he loves my family, he loves me, and my amazing marriage coach, Shirley, which I've linked her multiple times, will link her again, has taught me something beautiful, and that is stop looking at quantity when it comes to your quality time with your significant other, especially when you're in a blended family, but in kids in general, stop looking at it as quantity and look at it as quality. So I say that to say is that one night with my family, that one night at that wedding, my family hooked us up. There was a person within this where the wedding was held that gave us a cabin on the lake, Lake Allatoona. It was beautiful, it was so peaceful, it was romantic, it was all those things. That one night filled my love tank to full, right? It wasn't about, oh, I need him here 2 nights and to miss his son's game and to do this. No, that one night and the sacrifice that he made for me, the physical sacrifice of driving 6 hours one way and 6.5 back showed me how much he loved me, right? You'll need to do your 5 love languages test. And I'll put that link below. If you've never done it, you can do it for your kids. You can do it for your coworkers. You can do it for your significant others. But the reason why I brought this up today is I was having this conversation with somebody based off of that experience for myself. And that is, I'm really proud of myself. I hope you're proud of you. I'm really proud of myself that I said, no, honey, there's no way. Now, he wouldn't do it anyway, but I am not expecting you, nor will I be disappointed or any of those things. I want you at our son's game. That is exactly where you need to be. My husband has told me before, watching his children's sporting events is like soul care for him. And he goes early and he goes by himself and he doesn't sit with anybody. And I don't get mad at him for it because he has articulated that that is soul care for him, right? And then he wants to be there for his kids. So, y'all, I just want to encourage you. And I've told all of my girlfriends this, everybody that's come into contact with me about this, that if you are the significant other, you'll always come second. And that's okay. You can be in lockstep and be one soul and in covenant with their father. And in that way, you don't come second because you're one soul. But truly, the child's needs and the time with them, it's more important, the time with them, right? You should come second. You're an adult. You have the rest of your life, hopefully, with this person. They only have one childhood. And those formative years will lay foundations of who their inner child is, who their adolescent child is, all of the things, right? And so it's just so crazy and amazing and all the things that I've somehow become this beacon to be able to talk to women and say, and men too, but to be able to share that. Now, I say all that with caveats. The caveat that I want to speak on before I move on here is there always needs to be communication. If you are feeling as a woman or a man and you're dating a person with a child and you are feeling left out or neglected or any of those things, have a conversation with your significant other. I always talk about this, over communicate versus under communicate. Every bad thing happens in life when we under communicate. Every wonderful thing happens in life when we over communicate. We don't assume, we don't get upset. Gosh, we don't create stories in our head. You want me to tell on myself? Boo-boo, I'm going to tell on myself, okay? When I used to live in Nashville and I did not hear from my husband for a long time, my crazy self would make up stories in my head. Well, he doesn't love me, or this is going on, or whatever. I'm not even. And meanwhile, my husband was running himself ragged. 4 beautiful children running around, practices, camps, this, that, whatever. Exhausted, tried to get food on the table. It had nothing to do with he didn't love me. It had nothing to do with he did not care for me. There's another psychologist, I think she's called the holistic psychologist. She talks about, they're called ego tantrums. And they're when you make up a story in your head. So I was having a full on ego tantrum, making up stories. So I don't want you to have ego tantrums. I want you to be the person that says to your significant other, hey, I want to be that person. I want your kids to come first. I want to integrate where I can. I want to do the dance where I lean in and then know to lean out here, or no, I'm not a disciplinarian. I'm a bonus parent. I'm a bonus person to love them. I'll never take the place of their parent, right? I'm a bonus parent for that reason. And so you need to have those conversations, those over communications, those conversations, so you don't have an ego tantrum. Because early on in our relationship, I had many of those ego tantrums. I made up stories in my head, AKA ego tantrum. We had trips ruined and spoiled and different things like that because plans changed. And sure, I was sad and disappointed, but now I have cultivated my, and I had it before, but I've really been pouring into it, my own sense of self. So if he's got time with his son or doing college applications with his daughter or at a volleyball game with his youngest daughter or up in New York seeing our other son play football, I can garden, I can write, I can work, I can go to a historical museum. I've cultivated the garden of my own soul, right? So that those disappointments and those letdowns don't permeate and hurt me as much. You feel me? You feel me? So this is just for everybody out there that's living in these blended relationships. And I will tell you, this is the last thing I'm going to say. I will tell you, it's hard. It is not for everybody. If you want to be first in a relationship and you want it to be all about you, do not date somebody with a child. Don't, don't. I remember my husband's mother told me a hard truth before we got married a year or so before that. And she said, the kids will always come first. And I said, yeah, I understand that. I understood it, but I didn't get it, like how much they need him. They love him. They need him. They need this childhood. They need I know my dad's going to show up. I know my dad loves me. I know my dad's going to be there. And they need that blessed assurance. And so I heard it, but I didn't hear it in here yet. And now I know it. And now I want to tell the rest of the world about it. Switching gears completely. I hope you took some notes there, by the way. Switching gears completely. And the second story I want to tell you and talk about today are these purple nails. Okay. They are purple, like purple chrome, purple people eater, go Vikings, all the things, all that. So the other lesson I want to tell you and teach you about is this, if you are taking notes, and that is people just want to be heard. People just want to be heard. I did Brinks TV this morning. I do their television show every 2 weeks. And John was talking about how hard the holidays are for him. They are very hard for a lot of people. Okay. Suicide rates, depression rates, all of these things go up during this time of year because they're triggering. Family can be triggering. You're missing people, all of the things. And so we were talking about that. We were talking about how much we need people. Well, last night I had an experience at my nail shop where I'm from in Pell City, and I walk in and I had not been here in years. And this was the nail shop that my best friend set me up with when I lived in her basement. If you've read Relentless Joy, you know what I'm talking about, living in Jean and Tate basement. If you have not, you have got to go get Relentless Joy wherever you buy books and check it out. Okay. So I found this nail shop. They're like the best in Pell City, and I just love them. They do really, really a good job. And so we were trying to figure out what they were going to do with my nails. But before that, he said, "How are you? You look great." Blah, blah, blah. I said, "Thank you so much." I said, "How are you?" And he said, "I'm going to try not to cry." And I said, "Oh my gosh, like, okay." And he told me 2 things that were very close to his heart about people in his family. But the third thing was he pulled out his phone, he clicked some things. I'm like, what is he doing? And he pulls out an article about a Vietnamese man, a Vietnamese American man who had just come back from serving his country, was murdered at a rest stop. And this young man was his cousin, 25 years old, just got back, driving across the country to California to start a new job. And he was just heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. And I'll put the link below if that's something that touches you. They're trying to get his body back to Vietnam, and the shipping costs are very expensive. And so it just, wow, okay, this isn't about nails. Recognize that really quickly. And so we continued to talk, and he did my nails. And then there was a young gal that was doing my pedicure. And she was on the phone, and I could hear her kind of talking about, and she was like, "I'm so sorry." And she was starting my pedicure while she was on the phone. Okay, no stress. And I could tell she was talking about somebody who was in the hospital. And again, I won't reveal those things. But as she's doing my pedicure, she's talking. And I'm just gonna be really real here, okay? Because I don't know how any other way to be. I needed to get home. I needed to pick up groceries. I needed to cook. I was cooking for my brother and my dad in my mom's kitchen. Again, joy, joy, joy. So I was kinda in a hurry, and she was kinda chatting a lot, but something struck my soul, and again, it was God. And he said, "People just wanna be heard, Rachel. People just wanna be heard." She's a young mother. She is a fighter. She, has been through a lot. And so within an hour's time of her doing my pedicure, I learned some deep, vulnerable things about her. I learned about her father, what her father's going through. I learned about some legal battles. I learned about all of these things. And I recognized, okay, God, in my time, in my human time, I was in a hurry. I wanted to go. But you had me in that chair. You had me doing, I even said to her, and I'm fast forwarding in the story, she messaged me last night and she was thanking me. And I said, silly us, we thought it was only about nails. And isn't it beautiful how the God of the universe cares about how fast your nails grow out? Follow me here. Because if my nails had not grown out at the exact time that they did, I wouldn't have had to have an appointment while in Pell City before doing all these speaking engagements. I would have, if they'd grown any other way, gotten my nails done back in Florida before I left, but I didn't need it then. So I said, I'm just going to wait and do it in Pell City. And I said, isn't it awesome that we serve a God that cares so much about how long and fast your nails grow to put me in a nail shop at that exact time? And I picked that exact time, that exact day, had not knowing why I picked that exact time and day, but it brought me to you. And in that hour, we talked about Jesus. We talked about faith, what she grew up believing, what she likes now, this TikTok preacher that she listens to, Kelly K Ministries. And then I ended up following him. And it was like, wow. And God shook my soul and he said, you see, Rachel, it's not about your and what I want to accomplish. And so I walked out and I had one book in my car that I wrote, Relentless Joy. And I heard the Lord, and I'm always looking for the pings. Remember, guys, look for the pings, put on the spirit of openness. And he said, go back in there and give it to her. And so she was in there. I could see her inside the window, and she was talking to my friend Wayne, who owns the shop. And she says, "Oh, do you have something for me?" And she was like, "Or did you forget something?" And I'm like, "No, I wanted to give you." She was like, "Oh, are you kidding me? You want to give this to me?" And I'm like, "Yes." I'm like, so much of what we talked about is actually in here too. And so I signed it for her. And I have to read to you. I'm going to read to you what she said. Let me see if it'll pull up here. Okay. So at meantime, I had been sending her the podcast. I sent her where I was speaking at the Love Lady. I wanted her to potentially come. And so I gave her the book and I drove away. And I got this message. Thank you so much for today. You made my entire week. It was such an amazing work of God. I almost cried because I asked God every day for me to open my mind and heart to receive whatever message He has for me. And I am over the moons to start reading your book. Thank you so, so much for being a light in my darkness today. God bless you with 3 hearts. I'm the person with multiple emojis, by the way. And this is what I said earlier, but I want to read it to you. God always knows what he's doing. We think something as mundane as how fast our nails grow out doesn't concern him, but it does. Just think, if they had grown differently, I wouldn't have had a need to get them done. Or if I had chosen to come at a different time, maybe I wouldn't have met you. That's a beautiful sign of his love that he would bring me to you and have me go out and get the book. He literally told me to as I was leaving. She said, thank God you did because I truly needed it. And I said, I pray that God makes a way for you to make it tomorrow night. It would be so, so good. And I told her I'm praying for your daddy, for your half sister, for your mama, for your baby boy, and the gal that started our whole conversation. And yeah, y'all, we need each other. We need each other. We need each other. And this lines up what is in the newsletter this week. But I want to also tell you this, and I want to give you a challenge. There was a recent study that came out. And it said that loneliness increases risk of dementia. Large study find. So here is there's always a CTA, which is a call to action, and teach you a marketing term here. There's always a CTA with this podcast, and the CTA is find somebody lonely and adopt them. Okay, it might be an older person in your apartment building or in your neighborhood. It might be a single mother. It might be somebody at school who eats alone. See if they have Thanksgiving planned. Get together. Ask them to go to coffee. Say, hey, do you need a friend? Reach out to them. Maybe that's somebody that you haven't texted in a long time in your phone. Maybe you need to use social media for positive. Thank God, no more political commercials. I don't know who that is, but do it. That's your challenge, right? Is to, if I could see something happen in our lifetime, it would be to eradicate loneliness, man. Loneliness is a killer, and the enemy uses it. He uses it. I'm speaking at the Love Lady tonight, and I had written down, why are we isolating? Why are we trying to do life and sobriety alone? You know why? Because the enemy is the father of isolation. He wants us lonely. He wants us destitute. He wants us sad so that he can whisper lies in our ears about our life, about our worth, about our love, about our family, about the fact that people don't love us and that we're worthless. And so I am begging you to take the challenge to adopt somebody, adopt a new friend, to be open, to put on the spirit of openness and to adopt a new friend this last part of the year. We're going to eradicate loneliness. That's what we're going to do through I'm Changing the Narrative in the Joy Starters podcast. And lastly, I want to say strong condolences to the family of Hunter Smith. He is a athlete that was at Southwest Minnesota State University, a school that I've spoken at the very beginning of I'm Changing the Narrative, but I still have a relationship with them. And I got a call this week from somebody there in administration asking me to pray because they could not find him, and that he had been going through the ringer. And I got a call a short while later, a text message that they had found him and it was too late. Y'all, we need each other. This young man was like the head of FCA. He was involved. He was a graduate assistant. He had everything going for him. He was about to, I think, earn his MBA. We need each other. We need each other. I've never seen in my life this scourge, this plague of loneliness, of suicide, of depression, of anxiety. I've never seen anything like it, young to old. I don't want to lose anybody else, y'all. I want to lose people. So please take the challenge. And if you think I always cry on this podcast, you darn tootin'. That was so Southern. I am who I am. And I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm so grateful that I can feel, and I feel deeply. So grateful I'm George's daughter. I'm so grateful I love so deeply. The last thing I'll tell you is that on that note is, y'all, you have to take care of yourself. Please, empaths, take care of yourself. This week has been so hard. 1, politics. 2, Hunter. Another girlfriend lost her husband. 2 people lost their fur children. It was like one of those weeks by Tuesday. It was, and it's only Wednesday when I'm recording this. It's just been a week. And I recognize an empath that I have to do things to take care of my soul. I have to slow down. I have to, whatever that is, pray, read, meditate, nap, work out, spend time alone, spend time with friends, take a walk, rub your fur baby, whatever it is, like, please take care of your soul. I love y'all. I have done the round robin of topics today, and I hope you got it, and I hope you got my heart. I so appreciate you. I do this podcast for you. One day we'll have wild sponsors and it'll be a revenue machine. But right now we do it for you, and we'll do it for you then too. But I do this for you. I set aside time. I prep for it. I do it for you. I do the newsletter for you because I know when somebody says, you touch my life, you help me. I reached out to your marriage counselor because of you. I got into therapy because of you. I am on the road to reconciliation with a parent because of you, because it's something that you wrote. You encouraged me. I do it for you. And my only ask right now is that you take this podcast, whether you're listening to it on wherever you get your audio podcast, or whether you're watching it on the Determined Society's YouTube page. Thank you, Sean. Just take it and share it to somebody. Share it to 3 people, 10 people, and say, I think you need to hear this today. I love you guys, and I'm so thankful for you. Have a blessed day. We'll see you next week.